Betty Dean Sanders, Betty X, or Betty Shabazz, the wife and the widow of Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, as we know the popular Malcolm X. She never had an easy life. If you are interested, just keep on watching. It's An-Nashar and this is my podcast. While she often professed her conviction that Malcolm truly loved her and their 5 children, she also admitted that his long absence despite letters and phone calls and his treatment of her according to traditional patterns of male dominance were difficult to deal with. After Malcolm and his wife announced that they were both leaving the Nation of Islam, he was shot in the meeting of the Organization of Afro-American Unity with a sawed-off shotgun by 3 men, and 2 other men were on the stage and fired the handguns, hitting Malcolm X 16 times. It was Betty Shabazz who shielded her daughters with her own body when she heard the gunfire. When the shooting stopped, Betty ran toward her husband and tried to perform CPR in such a tragic scene. Betty's whole life ended in 1997, again in tragic circumstances, when she suffered third-degree burns over 80% of her body after her own grandson set the fire in the residence in which they were living, and she was buried beside her husband Malcolm X. As recorded FBI, in 1956, then Betty Sanders joined New York's symbol number of the Nation of Islam and was renamed Sister Betty X. Malcolm identified her as a native of Detroit who is currently working at a School of Nursing in New York Hospital, lecturing on hygiene 192 classes of Muslim girls and women. When Betty's family discovered that she had become a Muslim, they threatened to cut off financial support for her schooling. Malcolm reported having discussed the possibility of marriage with Elijah Muhammad and obtained his approval. 6 years after he was released from the prison, in January 1958, Malcolm took Betty as his wife. Betty herself reported that Malcolm was cool, even brusque, as a suitor could be a tender and solicitous as a husband. According to her, he became a supportive instructor on how to love as a woman and be true to her responsibilities as a mother. Her memories of Malcolm were generally ones of love and even gratitude, and it is from Betty after Malcolm's death that we've learned much about the private life of her husband and the relationship and responses to Elijah Muhammad. If you'd like to know more about Betty's life after Malcolm's death, just keep on watching. I'll be right back. Soon after Malcolm's death, Betty Shabazz went on her own pilgrimage to Mecca, tracing her husband's journey a year before and writing back to her friends and Harlem about the beauty and serenity of Mecca. Recalling the experience of 1992, Shabazz wrote, "I really didn't know where I'd be today if I hadn't gone to Mecca and make Hajj shortly after Malcolm was killed. That is what put me back on a track. Going to Mecca, making Hajj was very good for me because it made me think of all people in the world who loved me and were for me, who prayed that I'd get my life back together. I stopped focusing on people who were trying to tear me and my family apart." Betty returned from Mecca with a new name that a fellow pilgrim had bestowed upon her, Bahia, meaning beautiful and radiant. Over the years, Betty enrolled at Jersey City State College to complete the degree education she left behind when she became a nurse. She had a master's degree in health administration. Then she enrolled at the University of Massachusetts to pursue a doctorate in higher education administration and curriculum development. Betty joined the New York alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta in April 1974. In January 1976, Betty Shabazz became an associate professor of health science with a concentration in nursing at New York's Medgar Evers College. By then, Betty Shabazz was overseeing the health sciences department, and the college president decided she could be more effective in a purely administrative position than she was in the classroom. She was promoted to a director of institutional advancement. In 1984, Shabazz was given a new title, Director of Institutional Advancement and Public Affairs. She held that position at the college till her death. Shabazz also served on an advisory committee of U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, American Revolution Bicentennial Council, NAACP, and the National Urban League as well. She developed a close circle of friends, including Coretta Scott King, the widow of Martin Luther King, Mellie Evers Williams, the widow of Medgar Evers, poet Maya Angelou, politicians, activists, educators, and others to her council. Professing herself as a Sunni Muslim, she educated her 6 daughters by Malcolm Islamically and worked behind the scene with the government officials and representatives of different Muslim communities for the advancement of Islam. Much of her time in the hospital where she died was spent listening to the recordings of Quran recitation. An obituary for Betty Shabazz, and the message concludes, "Her case, as will eventually be all of ours, is with Allah. The responsibility to give dawah to the Shabazz family members is a religious duty to those who have access to them. May Allah strengthen the family and help the Ummah to meet the challenges of the day." If you're ready to reach this part of my podcast, I'd like to tell you stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.